Hi, thank you for watching or listening to Hope Beyond the Hurt. My name is Trisha Warren and I am your host. And I'm so honored that you are watching or listening tonight. Wherever you are, I believe that this material is going to help you. We are going to be talking about why the wait. And so many of us, we have hesitations, reservations because of maybe some bad decisions that we've made in the past, maybe some epic fails in the past, and we're kind of leery of making those same mistakes again. And so we hesitate in life. So if that's you, we've got some practical information to help today and also some spiritual insight into maybe why we wait, and we don't want to be waiting. So let's get into it tonight. I just wanted to give you the first definition of hesitate. It means to pause before saying or doing something, or especially because of uncertainty. So you're pausing because of uncertainty. And that's definitely gives you the idea that you're not sure, right? So that's why we're hesitating, we're pausing. And there's a saying that he who hesitates is lost. And so we don't want to be lost in our lives. We don't want to be wandering around like we don't know what we're doing. But that's kind of the inclination that we get when you hesitate. You're unsure. And I actually kind of was thinking about this in thinking about a holding pattern. I had to actually ask my husband what a holding pattern was because I thought, is that a football term? And he was like, no, it's not a football term. It actually is in flight. You're in a holding pattern because they're not ready to land. There's either weather, there's stuff going on the ground, there's other planes involved, but for whatever reason, you're not ready. And so we don't want to be in a holding pattern in our life. We don't want to be waiting. We don't want to be uncertain. We don't want there to be these hesitations in our life due to us not knowing what God has in store for us. And we know that in James 1:5-8, it says, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives liberally. He wants you to know. He's not holding anything back from you today. He's not withholding information. He's not trying to, dangle a carrot in front of your face to see, how, if you'll come or whatever. No, he's got answers for you today. And it says, if you'll just ask, he'll give you the answers. But then it says here, let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. Then it says in verse 7, let not this man think that he will receive anything of the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. And so when we go to him and we ask him, so Father, what do you want me to do in this situation? And he gives you the answer, and then you hesitate. See, that's being double-minded, because the word says in Hebrews 11:1 that faith is now. So when he gives you an answer to a question that you have, even if it's a big deal, maybe you're praying about a business deal, maybe you're praying about a situation with your children, maybe you're praying about a financial decision that you have to make, or you're trying to make a business transaction and you're asking God some big things, you don't hesitate. When he gives you the answer, you need to step out in faith. And so we know in James 2:26, it says, faith without works is dead. So when he presents something to your heart, it's almost as if you need to take an immediate step. Take an immediate step of faith to show him that you are on board with what he's trying to get you to do. So let me just give you an example. At the beginning of this year, we did a fast. We always, with our church, we do a 21-day fast. And my husband and I, we were on board with some things. We were praying about some things. Well, as I began to pray, this year was a little bit different for me. I was praying, and I would start to wake up really early in the morning, like around 2 or 3 in the morning when nobody else was awake. And God started stirring some things in my heart during that 21-day fast. And one night he woke me up and he literally gave me a book. And he had actually inspired me to write that book when I was facing going through the divorce. He had told me at that time that he wanted me to write a book to help people through that process. Because again, I know I've kind of mentioned this before, but I really struggled during that time because I needed a quick resource. It was almost like all of these books were so huge. And if you've ever had a traumatic set of circumstances happen in your life, it's like you don't have time to read a big, thick book. You need some quick answers. And so I was desperate for answers, and I just was really, I was stuck. And so the Holy Spirit told me in one of these morning sessions of prayer with him, he said, I want you to write that book that I told you to write back then. And he literally, I'm telling you, he downloaded in my spirit so quickly this book. And I grabbed my phone in the middle of the night, and I've opened my notes, and I'm literally typing as fast as I can the outline for this book. And he gave it to me in like 30 minutes time, so that immediately the next morning, he told me, I want you to act on that book. Get going. So I wrote the book. I literally wrote the book in like a week's time. And I've never published a book before. So I just was moving. You know what I'm saying? When he deposits something down in your spirit, you don't try to make sense of it. You just take action steps, because again, faith is now. It's moving. It's got breath with it. You're literally just taking what he says, and you're just running as fast as you can. And so that's what I did. And so it takes time for you to first get in his presence to find out what he has to say. But then once he gives you the deposit, once he shows you what to do, you run with it. So I wrote the book, literally, hand wrote, but I typed it up in 2 weeks' time. I found a publisher. I literally sent it to 3 different publishers. I was like, whoever, gets back with me first, I'll check with them. I told the Father, I said, I'm just moving. And I believe that if I'm moving out of too fast out of your plan, then you're going to show me, but I'm going to move and just be obedient. So that's what I did. I found a publisher. They first told me that the book was probably too small. And I said, no, I wanted it to be a resource. I wanted it to be something that was smaller, so that people that were struggling with their spouse having an affair, because again, the book is called The First 24 Hours, What to Do When You Find Out That Your Spouse Has Had an Affair. So I told them, I said, I don't want it to be a big book. I was thinking in my head, if they come back at me and tell me that, this is too small or whatever. I did have ideas to expound upon the book, but I really felt like I was doing exactly what God had told me to do. So they said, okay, we'll get back with you within a few days. Within a few days, they called back. They said, our editors loved the book. They feel like it's the perfect time. We're going to get it published. And so here we go. And I knew that I was being led by the Spirit of God. And so then whenever he deposited that in my heart, I knew that there were some things that he was going to have me do in addition to that, like a podcast. He had already told me, I want you to start writing down messages for YouTube. I want you to have messages lined out. I want you to get prepared for that podcast. And so I had already started, preparation. That's what you do and I don't know what I'm doing, so to speak. I'm just being obedient. So literally I began to just take little tiny steps. So I started making outlines. I made like 15 different outlines of things that I felt like he was leading me to talk to people about, because I know that there are hurting people out there, and I just was so hungry to help people. And so he had me line those outlines out. Well, then one morning I was sitting there in my chair. This was probably at the beginning of April. And he told me, he said, why are you waiting? And I said, what do you mean? What do you mean waiting? And he said, yes, why are you waiting? He said, I told you to start the podcast. And I was like, well, I was going to wait till the book comes out, I don't feel like I've got everything ready. And he said, what are you waiting on? So literally, guys, that morning, I opened up my computer. I Googled how to make a podcast. And within 30 to 45 minutes, I had recorded my first podcast, and I just started putting it out on platforms. I just was obedient. Sometimes we just can't wait. What are you waiting on today? What are the dreams and the visions that God has placed within your heart that you've just believed that you weren't good enough for, that you've believed what everybody else has said about you, that, wait a minute, what are you doing? You might want to rethink that. Why are you going to just jump out there on the edge? Like, you're not really sure. Are you like, what if it doesn't work out? What if you look stupid? What if people don't listen to you? It doesn't matter, guys. You have to do what God has called you to do. There is a very short amount of time. Jesus is coming back, and you don't want to be found waiting in a waiting pattern, just a holding pattern, just wondering, okay, well, maybe I could land now. Well, no, it's too cloudy over there. No, don't wait. Step out in faith. Get after it. Get going. Get doing what God has called you to do. And don't let the pain of the past, the circumstances, the frustrations, the failures. Listen, guys, I've made so many mistakes, but God is not looking at me through my mistakes. He's looking at me through my obedience. He's looking at me through the blood of Jesus, and that's how he sees you today. He sees you free. He sees you full of hope. He sees you really doing what he designed for you to do before he formed you in your mother's womb. That's what he sees. When he sees me doing what he called me to do since I was a little girl. And so that's what we do. We just begin to step out in faith. Now, here's some practical things that the Holy Spirit started showing me that you need to probably start putting into practice every single day. Because when you're hesitating in the small things, that's why you're hesitating in the big things. It's just normal for you. You've got this pattern of just hesitating, pausing, waiting, taking too long to make decisions. Guys, you don't need to, it shouldn't be rocket science every time that you have to decide where you're going to eat for dinner or what you're going to eat for dinner. I have this conversation with my kids and my husband. Okay, what do y'all want for dinner? And they all say, I don't know, whatever you want to cook. And I'm like, I don't know what to cook. That's why I asked you. You know what I'm saying? But it shouldn't be, let's make decisions. Be quick-minded. Because God, if he's going to keep moving you into your purpose, into your destiny, you're going to have to think fast. You're going to have to start moving fast. You're going to have to start taking your dreams by the horns and get going. So I encourage you, begin to make quick decisions. Don't allow yourself to hesitate about anything. Make plans. Know what you're going to do for lunch every single day. Like, don't just let it be flying by the seat of your pants about every decision that you make. Also, don't hesitate when you get to your destination. I encourage you with this more than anything else, because I find myself, it's almost like I dread sometimes I find this most at the gym, and you can probably identify. You sit in your car at the gym because you're like, I'm about to have to go sweat. I'm going to have to go lift weights. I'm going to have to, get on the treadmill, whatever it is. You find yourself dreading. Well, the word says that there's no fear in love. And that's what dread is. Dread is fear. So we're not going to fear anymore. We're going to step out. We're going to begin to do things in faith. But that requires that you don't hesitate. When you get to the grocery store, have a list prepared. Be ready. Be prepared in every instance and situation in your life. Be thinking ahead. Okay, God, and this is helpful if you have a list on your fridge. Have your family write down what they need from the grocery store on that list so that you're prepared. Have a list ready, and every time that you need something, go write it down, and don't just walk through the store like randomly looking for what you need. No, be ready. All of these things are practical, but they will help you. So we want to pay attention. Train yourself to be aware. Be watching who's in the room with you. Be watching who is around you. Don't just find yourself being mindless. No, you have to be thinking, because a thinking person is an aware person, and an aware person is a ready person. And so, listen, we have so much that God has called us to do. And I am so excited about your life. I am so excited about the purpose and the destiny that God has for you, but you have to be excited about it too. So I encourage you, if you haven't already, get on your face and begin to ask God what he would have you to do. And maybe you should fast. Maybe you should spend some time really on your face before the Father, because I'm telling you, during those times of fasting, you're not moving God, but something's that work on the inside of you. So please just get before the Father. No more hesitating, no more waiting. He has a great plan for your life. And if you liked this content, please like it, share it, subscribe to it, give me comments, let me know kind of some things that you would like for me to talk about, things that would help you in your life, and also set the alarm. Click that little alarm button so that you know every single time a video is released. I love you guys, and I'm so excited about your future, and hey, no more hesitating.